Hi everyone, welcome to our channel. We are Anouar and Vanessa. If you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe. Today we're gonna have a special video where we discuss some of the concepts that have helped our relationship succeed. We're gonna talk about money, religion, communication, respect. So if you're interested in this, and of course, all of these questions that we will be answering are coming from you. So make sure you stay till the end of the video.
Hello everyone, I'm Anouar, I'm 30 years old, I'm from Morocco and I'm married to this beautiful Mexican lady. I'm looking forward to share with you our life story on this podcast and hopefully you enjoy it.
So I was born in the US, but I didn't grow up there. I actually grew up in Mexico, and then I went to school in the US for university. And when I was in my last year for getting my bachelor's degree is when I met Anouar. I had traveled to the UAE for a vacation, and we met in a parking lot of a stadium. And we have a video where we talked about this if you want to go watch that.
You'll find the link over here.
It's
in Abu Dhabi, there where I hooked her. She came just in a travel to have vacation, enjoy her time, and then she found this Moroccan guy. And there you go, right now we're here sharing our story with you guys.
Yeah, we've been here, at least I've been here for 5 years. Anouar has been here for longer.
Yeah, I've been here for 8 years now, and it just passed super fast. People who live in the UAE, they really will know what I mean when I'm speaking about time goes so fast over here.
One of our top questions is, what were the family reactions? And specifically, I get the question, did his family accept you? And I think the background of that question is, did they accept me because I'm not Muslim specifically? From what I understand, because we do come from different countries and we have different religions, and most of our followers are people who are also in some sort of mixed relationship. So I think they have a lot of, they're very curious to know how did we make it work and how did the family support us, because thank God we're very lucky to say that we did receive a lot of support from our family, and I think that plays a huge role in our marriage and the fact that we've made it this far, even though we just started our journey.
Yeah, it's a very common question actually, and everyone asks like, how did his family accepted you? While the fact is your family, where you actually found a little bit of difficulties, you just tell them, but yeah, the fact that they accepted it as long as we're here together. From my own story, my own family, when I've told them about Vanessa, and I told them like I met a beautiful lady and everything, my family were really open. There is different families, same culture, yeah, but every family have their own way of living, their own way of thinking, their own way of accepting. It's just not, oh, you're from Morocco, you're all gonna be the same. This is everywhere, you know. So from my side, it was absolutely smooth. I really got the support from my family, and I have nothing else like to just say that I found or faced any obstacles.
Yeah, it's true. I think, like I said, we're lucky that they were very supportive. For me, it took me a bit longer to tell them, just because I was a little bit scared from rejection. I think now it's changing, but a few years ago, there was a very negative image around the religion for Islam, and I knew very little about it, basically nothing. I learned everything once I got to know you, and I started to know about it and to find that actually it has a lot of things in common with Christianity. So yeah, I think that was my biggest fear, to be rejected, for the idea of to be rejected from my family, because my family is very important, and I wanted everything to go well. I think that's what we're all looking for. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because most of the girls who ask me, and it's usually girls actually, who are either Christian or Jewish most of the time, and they are in a relationship with a Muslim, they want to marry him or something like this. What is your experience? Because maybe I'm not the right person to answer this question, because my situation was very specific to our, to our situation. So I don't want to generalize. So maybe you can give more feedback, or more, you can explain more, like what's the different scenarios, because a lot of girls, they're afraid from this, that, or maybe the guy has already told them, my family won't accept this relationship.
It's a very complicated question, because you asked me a question to talk about how Moroccan sees. It's just in this aspect, it's very challenging to reply to you with one answer, because there in Morocco you just find like all kind of families that you might see. Some people that are very absolutely accepting, have no problem. Some families, they have different ideas. My family was they had no issue at all. They know, like, I'm an independent man. You can decide as long as you happy. That's it. Go for it. It's your own life, and you can just decide whatever you want. Some other families, maybe they see different, and I think this is up to them.
So it's true, you can't generalize, but I think there are different scenarios, and I think one of them is, if you want to marry someone within your own religion, like if you're Muslim and you want to marry a Muslim, or if you're Christian, want to marry a Christian, I think that's absolutely fine. If this is something that's really fundamental for you and for your relationship, I think that's fair to have, right, or to ask. But I think there is also maybe sometimes there is some pressure. Maybe the person doesn't mind if the other person is not of a specific religion, but maybe they receive pressure from their community, or from their church, or from their family, or from their surroundings to be with someone that meets that specific requirement. So maybe that's another thing that could happen. I mean, it does happen, because I get these messages all the time, like they didn't accept me because I'm not this.
Look, to me, if you loved a person, it's not gonna be that smooth and simple to be with them. Of course, you will have challenges in your life together, and you should both of you overcome with a solution. You should both of you challenge that challenge to overcome with a result. Of course, maybe you get your family don't want to accept him, or the opposite, or maybe other challenges in life. So it's something that happens in life, and if that happens in your situation, you either try to meet the family, speak to the family. It's gonna be challenging, maybe if they don't speak the same language, but I think when it happens, those kind of situations, it becomes more complicated for both couples, you know. But from my own experience, my family were, you're an independent man, as long as you're happy with your decision, go for it. We support you. We all what we want for you is the best.
Yeah, that's true. But don't you think sometimes, okay, let's say you go for love, right? You want to be with this person, and you don't care if your family supports you or not. I think that's a bit
Romeo and Juliet.
It's a bit complicated, because maybe your family might play a huge role. I think there's also different situations for how close you are to your family. But let's say you're very close to your family and they don't want to accept your partner. And let's say you go against them. Don't you think maybe that can go really wrong? I mean, it might work, but it could also be that it goes really wrong. And then you're gonna maybe struggle your whole life, because there's never that unified family, like, because there is holidays and there is celebrations and there is things that you do with your family. But because, okay, I've had a lot of people who have asked me, or who have told me actually, it didn't work between us. Like, we loved each other, we wanted to get married, but because our families, his or my family, wasn't gonna accept the other person, we couldn't go through with it. So what, sometimes they ask me like if I can give them maybe some advice, or maybe they just want to share their story. But we're not professionals, right? We're just sharing like what has worked for us and maybe what hasn't. But I do think in that specific situation, you have to really think about it carefully, because when you fall in love, you just want to jump, right, and do things, and you just go for it, like whatever it is. And I've heard some girls specifically who told me, well, it's like he didn't fight for me. Why he didn't? Like why? And I think sometimes like it can be difficult for him as well. Maybe it's not that he doesn't love you, but maybe it's, he also loves his family. Like how can you explain this? Like I don't know what to say to this specific thing, to this specific situation.
I told you, like it's a very challenging situation, and he loves his family, and he loves you too. It's a very tough situation to be in, and I think in this situation you can only try to be more patient, talk about it more. I don't know, try to meet the family. It's a very something that you can just, I don't know how to explain it, even from my own experience, because I didn't face this. I know this kind of situation, they happen even in Morocco. You already, by the way, know like how Moroccans are close to their families. You have the same situation in American Latin countries. They're also very close to their families. It's gonna be tough for that person to just choose like either this part or this part. Sometimes in some situation that I know from some of the guys that I know, you find the family at first they don't accept that woman or that man into their family, but if their son or daughter, they really challenge them and they went for that person. So after some times, like they start accepting. After all, they just find like, oh well, there you go. Like this person is happy. What we gonna do about it? Like why we have to ruin it? If you find someone who's, if you find like a family that's really tough to deal with, all what I can do with you is to pray for you, man, or my sister.
No, and actually, this is a good transition to go into the next question, where the boundaries that you should make between you and your family, like your relationship. It's true, like your family. Okay, now I'm speaking for my personal situation here. My family plays a huge role in my life, and they're very important, and it's really important for me to be close to them. And I come from a culture where we're very close and we have really strong bond. Like we keep our relatives very close to us till we die, basically. Like we don't get rid of the grandma if she's old, or the grandpa. Like we don't do these things, right? So we're very close to each other. But at the same time, you have to know how to set a boundary for your family, not to enter to your relationship. Like you might say something, but they can't just come and give an opinion. And I think that kind of brings the two topics together. There could be the situation where you just say, okay, I think this is not gonna work out, and I really want to have the peace with my family. So you might give up on that relationship. But it could also be that you're, like you said, that you go for your relationship and eventually they have to accept it, whether they like it or not. So I think this gives an opportunity for this next subject, which is, how far would you let your family or your parents enter to your relationship?
That's it's true. It's related to the same subject, but I will just say something just before to jump to this question that you just mentioned. Always when you meet a person and you really love that person, and you think like he's the person that he's the right person that will be with you in your life. And if you know your family is very challenging to convince them or to tell them like, I found like someone that is outside from our culture, outside from our religion, to explain to them. Don't just go and jump and tell them. Like find also a way, take step by step. Every time mention something, don't just come and give them that shock. because you might also get shocked by their reaction. Try going step by step and just be smart about it, and I think this can change the directions of the reaction. You should just play it smart and step by step so they can accept you. And your question was?
Oh, actually, I'll continue with something else.
Go.
Earlier you said that it takes a lot of patience, right, to be patient with the situation. And I think that's like what you just said now. It's true. Like you have to know how to ease your way into the conversation, or how to present it in a way, because they might get shocked, of course. Why not? Like if it's something completely out of their normal, it's expected that they will be shocked. So
Yeah.
maybe sometimes you also need to know that accept their reaction. Don't get disappointed if they don't accept it right away, or if they don't react the way you were expecting.
Exactly.
Like they're happy.
Exactly.
Right, because it's true. Like, of course, when you bring something new that's out of your culture, you might not react in a way. Maybe later
That's right.
your mind will change. But I think also you should be patient
Yeah.
with your family, because in the end, I think for most of the time, like, your family loves you and they just want the best for you. And sometimes their anger doesn't come from a bad place. It just comes from a place of fear that you get hurt, or that you don't feel happy with your decision. So I think also, we have to be patient in this matter.
This leads to another statement that I want you to add also on what you said. If you're a parent and you have your daughter and she came to ask you that, oh, I met a person, like just out of nowhere, I met someone and I'm planning to marry. For you, you're just gonna be like, oh wow, like it's shocking, right?
Even if it's someone you know, right?
Exactly, it will be like,
shocking.
wow, because this is a huge step in someone's life. So you literally gonna feel worried. You have many questions. So that's why I think the best thing is just not to go to the parents for both sides, not to go and jump and be like boom. Because when you meet that person, you already met him. You built like a relationship with that person. You really got to know that that person is really right for your life. So when you go and you just share in a shocking way to your parents, like, oh, I met a person and I'm planning to marry, of course to them, they care about you. They're really gonna feel worried. This is the first thing that will appear to them first. So I think it's the best thing to start with an open communication with the parents. Explain to them, start step by step, take your time. Also, you can also, if your parents are not that educated about this situation, you can
About the other culture.
yeah, about the other culture, you can still speak about the other culture and speak to them about the person. And I think there is always a way to convince your parents. They're still your parents. They love you. Like, they're just doing this to protect you. And I think most important thing in this situation is just the communication with the parents, and it just all comes just from being worried about their son or daughter. And if there is like a proper communication, you can see good results after all.
Yeah, that's true, because the way you speak about your partner is how people will perceive the person. And actually this goes not just for the parents. This can happen even with your friends or someone you might know. The way you speak about your partner when they're not there, it's gonna create an image. People will see them this way because you're building a profile on this person. So if you come and you only highlight the negatives, because nobody is perfect, we all have flaws and we all have things that we can work on. But if you go and you always show the negative side of your partner, then people will start to not like that person, right? It's like if you always go sharing your problems, like your couple problems, to people, they're gonna start to think badly about your partner. They're gonna start hating that person if they always see you upset, or if you only share the negative aspects of your relationship and not the positive ones.
Yeah, this happens a lot. It happens also in my culture, and I'm sure that it happens like everywhere. When you find the daughter or the son is very close to his parents, they usually share more details because you're always close to them. You always have conversation to speak about. When you have an argument with your partner, most common mistake that's really impact negatively on the relationship is to go and share that arguments with your parents, like no matter what, like your father or your mom, because after all, he's the partner that you love. You're always gonna have arguments. Once you have the arguments, you always overpass them, you always forget about whatever happens. But when you share the arguments with your parents, usually they never forget because they care about you, they love you so much, they don't want anyone to hurt you. So once you share that thing with them, they never forget it. So they always build an image about your partner. Even though like you had an argument with your partner, you forgot about it, but this is your parents, they really love you so much, they care about you, and they start building a negative image about your partner, which really plays a negative role later on your partner. So it kind of creates a conflict between your parents and your partner, and this is something that no one wants to fall on.
Yeah, that's true. I don't
Fall
think
in.
I don't personally believe that you should share your challenges or your discussions, your arguments that you have with your partner with other people, because like you said, if you just overcome them very fast, the other people that you told this story to, they're gonna build a negative image about your partner.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, whatever the way you speak about your partner is how people will perceive them.
That's
So
right.
I don't think, because I know sometimes when you're angry or when you're sad, you just want to talk to someone, you just want to let it out. You know, we're emotional beings. So when you're angry, you just want to let it out all at once. And of course, if you don't speak nicely about your partner, it's just gonna become this way. I don't think that's a good.
If you wanna let it out on your partner. Be like, hey man,
Or
you know,
maybe
like that was not
if you
right.
have someone that you really trust and that they will remain neutral. No, because I think we all need to have friends. Like even if your partner is your best friend, you should still have other friends outside of your relationship, because they're different relationships. But you should be very careful about how much you share about that argument. You don't want to say everything. And also if we do say it, we tend to make ourselves look like we're the victim. You know, like we all want to romanticize our life and show like we're the good person, because the person that you're sharing this with, you want them to be on your side. So you might add more sauce, you know, to your story to make the other person look worse. And I think probably we've all made this mistake, but I don't think it's a good thing to do, because later it can just make, you know, it can just make a bad image on your partner.
Definitely. This is something that I totally don't agree with, to share especially your argument. Speak about something positive. Why are you gonna speak about something negative to that person? And if you really felt felt you got mistreated or something, you can always communicate with the person who actually made you feel like this. Your partner, just communicate and explain, this is really not la la la, and I'm sure that this is, after all, like, he's your partner and he will always understand. There will be always arguments, maybe some small arguments, maybe of course you will share them without even you feel, if you have like a good friend that you really trust. This is something we can't deny. But most important thing is to keep boundaries.
To keep your life private, right?
Exactly.
And I think there is a big misunderstanding in social media. For example, in our page, we don't share anything negative, right? And I think most people do this, but I don't think that's something bad. Of course, don't get deceived by social media, because everyone will look perfect and living their best life on social media, because that's what we highlight. You know, you want to highlight the positives of your life, but that doesn't mean we don't have challenges. If you go to our page on YouTube or Instagram, of course you're gonna find our funny content, and we share our goals and we share our accomplishments, but that doesn't mean we don't have challenges in our relationship.
Definitely, arguments, challenges are
Yeah,
everywhere.
it's normal. Like you have them sometimes almost every day. They might be small ones, insignificant, but it's normal, I think, for so people don't get deceived and see like, oh, your marriage is perfect. You guys come from different backgrounds and different religions, and look, you're living your best life. We still had like our disagreements and our challenges till now. Like even if we have different backgrounds, there's still things that we don't agree with. But I think we respect each other, and I think that's what's made it work. That's
Pillars.
one of the pillars is that we respect each other. And I think this can happen in any relationship, even if you are in the same religion, in the same country. As long as you respect each other, like we're different humans, we can't agree with everything 100% of the time. So I think it's normal we should have empathy towards each other and say, okay, I don't agree with you, but I acknowledge that it makes you feel a certain way. So I respect that. Not just because it doesn't hurt me, it doesn't mean it's not gonna hurt you.
Definitely, definitely. Most important thing, you communicate with your partner. After all, like it's just both of you who will stay together, and if you communicate properly, you will overcome anything. It's true, there will be always arguments. Everywhere, wherever you go to work, you go just for a vacation, you find always challenges. And with your partner, you always communicate and you will definitely overcome any challenges, however they are.
So what's your experience, for example, with Christmas or Easter? Because we do we always have a celebration throughout the year because of the two religions and the two cultures.
To me, it's just a beautiful vibe, beautiful moments to be with the family. You make beautiful memories. It's not something that should be that complicated.
Exactly. Yeah, I feel the same way because I've also been fasting for 5 years now.
Mashallah.
So every Ramadan I fast, and of course I look forward to it. Just like Anouar said, it's a beautiful moment that you share with the family because it's something you do together, and it's also a way of me supporting you, because I think it's special when you have your partner support you in your beliefs, in your celebrations, even if you might not believe it. It's still special that they're making that space and that they're respecting it and they're willing to partake. And I think that's also made our relationship strong because we just give each other that respect and that space to acknowledge that.
Yeah, it's also you have to keep in mind you are always you have always to keep in mind that you're married to a person from a different culture, different traditions, different beliefs. You love that person. Enjoy the moments, and everyone have his own beliefs. Keep it that way. Enjoy the moments with the family. Create always beautiful memories, and live your life. This is part of the life, right?
Yeah, that's true. I agree with that. Hopefully, I know we're saying it so easily. Hopefully, other people that are in a similar situation feel the same way, because I know sometimes this can be complicated, or maybe one of the persons might not accept what the other is celebrating or whatever. So,
I think from my own personal idea, if the other person did not accept to be there, I think it's all right. Both of you should accept each other's decision. If this happens, you communicate. If the person does not want, you still accept the person and try to find a way to stay together. That's the most important thing. Try to keep that bond with each other and accepting and understanding each other.
yeah, that's true. I mean, I think that wouldn't necessarily work in my situation, but it's true. It could work for other people with different perspectives. Because for me, specifically, it is very important that you're there for Christmas or for Easter, because this is when the family gets together, and it's a beautiful moment that we share year after year. So for me, at least, it is very important. But like you said, I think people should still have the right to say, no, I don't want to be part of this. And they shouldn't be forced. Of course, it should come from your heart to do something for your partner, not to be forced to do it, right?
Yeah, you're right. It's not only will be important for you, it will be important for everyone. You know, everyone would love to have his own partner with him, like in their own celebrations. After all, it's just a matter of both couples. They need to find a way how to accept each other and not to let that actually impact the relationship the way how they started it. You know. Because from the beginning you both started this relationship, you got married, you all had a goal. Like it's a life goal, both of you together, and you always will have challenges. You always need to find a way to accept each other to just keep that relationship going.
Yeah, that's true. I'm just saying this because I think sometimes as the years go by, people might their feelings might change about certain things, and maybe later they might not want to do something that they used to do, or maybe the other way around. In the beginning they didn't want to do something specifically, but maybe later they changed their mind. So I think as long as you, like you said, as long as you always make an effort
Yeah.
to support your partner, I think that's something special. So to kind of wrap up the questions that we answered in some of the topics that we're talking about. Of course, we can answer other questions in the future if you guys enjoyed this kind of content. But now, just to go back to the pillars of our relationship, because here we're just talking about what has worked for us specifically, and I think these might be also fundamental for every relationship. And one of them is going to be money. How do we, what have we done in our relationship that has worked when it comes to our finances?
Okay, I will tell you a story. I will share it with you, my friends. When I first met Vanessa, she was still a student. So a student, that means broke. I was working by then. We of course decided after she finished her school, she can come and travel over here in the UAE, Abu Dhabi, so she can stay with me. We can from here start our life. When she came, to me, I'm the person like who finance the whole everything, the whatever we need. When she starts a job, what we did was not like, okay, this time I'm gonna pay this and you will pay this. We start splitting. No, it did not went that way. We communicate clearly that we're both having one salary, we're both having one expenses, we're both having one trip. When you both have the money as a common, which is something really important in a relationship, you really gonna avoid a lot of challenges and arguments, and because I think money really plays a big role with the relationships. And if a couple really manage to find a proper solution on this, it's just gonna make your life much stronger and your bonds will get solid. What do you think on this aspect?
Yeah, that's true. I wasn't really good with money. It's true. I wasn't working when I just moved
Terrible.
here, but it's true. I think money it could be a difficult topic, a difficult conversation to have, but I think it's true. From the beginning, we made it clear that we want to combine our incomes and set certain goals that we wanted to reach with that income. And I think thanks to God, we've been able to make some of those accomplishments true. They became true, and I'm really happy for that. I'm grateful that we're actually having that structure in our relationship to deal with the money, because it's true, this can be something very difficult, especially nowadays where everything has to be 50-50, and then there is a lot of misunderstandings, I think, that could come from money, and when it's not talked about, because I think a lot of couples might just avoid that conversation.
Yeah, it looks like a taboo, huh?
Yeah, because it can be uncomfortable, because maybe not everyone is educated when it comes to how to deal with the money. It's a difficult thing, to deal with. So I think from the beginning, I think that was definitely something we did do right, that was to talk about the money and how we were going to take care of our expenses. Yeah.
I agree. Look, do you want to make your relationship solid, strong bonds with your wife? Make your financial decisions together. Make your salaries together. Make long-term goals, so you all have common things that you both are working on. It's not only the love that you start first, which is first sight. I liked you. You keep adding, but
you can't
money,
live just from love, you have to actually tackle other areas, and money is definitely one of
you need to have
a very important
common goals as well. You make both of you common goals, and this really will play a big role on a successful relationship. That was it for this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you really like the video, please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next video.
And if you want us to make a part 2, make sure you drop your questions in the comment box.
We would love to answer them again. Thank you and have a lovely day.
No.